It's Weevil time. Here you're going to see me putting some finishing touches on my Weevil beetle. And I'm just moving through and adding some highlights with my airbrush pen. And then I'm going back through and using the same pen to kind of blend it out. The goal is to kind of create this sheen on the shell so that it looks really realistic. And then you can see me use my 6B pencil. And I go in at an angle, and that's to create the texture because the shell isn't perfectly smooth. So this creates those imperfections that allow it to kind of appear like it would be on the beetle itself. And I just go in and I kind of blend these areas, and I go back on top of them and add texture, and I blend some more. There's a lot of like highlights and lowlights working to kind of trick the mind into seeing these as different surfaces and texture. I'm using layers to create this. So for example, this kind of shiny layer is underneath my colors so that it doesn't really go on top and change the colors. I kind of do that individually. I go back and I adapt the colors to fit the angle of the body of the beetle. The legs were kind of my favorite part just because you can mirror them on both sides, but when you add the highlights and lowlights, they're going to vary across the beetle. So when I built the beetle body, I had it perfectly symmetrical on both sides. And so I take off drawing assist and I go in on each leg, and each leg has its own highlights and lowlights and different tones too, if there's different tones present from each leg. So that helps make it look like I took the time to draw each leg when really I'm just adding the highlights and lowlights. And here I'm using my custom brush to create the circle pattern. This just made it a little bit easier so I didn't necessarily have to draw every circle, although I do draw a lot of the circles on this. And I only made this brush later. Like I should have had this brush from the start, but I only ended up using it on the back of the shell. And this was just a quick overview of my drawing. Thanks for watching, guys.